What made you want to make the switch?
Well, I was headhunted. It was lovely.
Oh, that's always good.
The timeshare sales manager at the time, she'd often pop past the reception desk on the way to the canteen, and so we'd just get talking, hello, how are you, and just have nice conversations. And so when there became a place available, she was like, I'd really like you to come and join us.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast Chatzzz. We've got a very special guest today. Karen, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
We had a bit of a miscommunication earlier, didn't we?
We did.
So I rocked up at the office. Nobody was here. I walked in and I was thinking, I should not be in here. So I walked out and then your colleague came in and was like, hello? It's like, I'm not robbing the place. Yeah. I'm here to do a podcast with Karen. And she's like, she's not in today. I was like, okay, and I was messaging you, wasn't I, saying I'm going to be 5 minutes late? And then luckily you only live around the corner.
That's it.
And here we are. So what I'm going to get you to do first is introduce yourself to the viewers, the listeners, if you were meeting someone for the first time.
Okay, my name's Karen. I'm one of the directors of Paramount Legal Costs, and we're a firm of law cost draftspeople and cost lawyers.
Nice. And then you've got your notes there. I love it when people are prepared.
Yeah.
3 facts.
3 facts.
Let's go for it.
So the first fact is I'm mum to 2 daughters. The second fact is I love whodunnit.
Mm-hmm.
So Agatha Christie, and then even the cheesy ones like Murder, She Wrote, Diagnosis Me.
Why are you laughing at that?
Because it's really cheesy.
Why do you think it's cheesy?
Because I don't think there's very many people who would own up to one. And it is, it's cheesy. But I love just Columbo, I love those kind of whodunit things. And my third is I failed my GCSE maths and English first time round.
Oh, okay, interesting. So let's talk about the first one then, mum for 2.
Yes.
How is it being a mum?
It's both wonderful and crazy in equal measures. My eldest is 20, will be 21 later this year, and my youngest she's nearly 15. So going through those teenage phases, but they've both kind of navigated that very differently. Yeah. So my eldest daughter was definitely more challenging through her teenage years, which I can really kind of relate to. So I found, weirdly, as much as it was really challenging, I could relate to it, whereas my youngest daughter, she doesn't really open up, and I can't work out her sort of thoughts, feelings, and I find that harder to understand because I'm very quite an emotional person and expressive, where she's just sailing on,
just chilling. Yeah, that's like me and my brother. I think I was more challenging for my mum and dad. My younger brother was more like that as well. Yeah. I wonder if that's like an elder and younger thing, or just, I don't know.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder if it's because with my eldest, I was quite, she would be the first one doing anything, so I'd be learning as I was going along and quite tense about the learning experience and just wanting the best for her and not realising actually the best isn't what my best is, it's her best. And I've definitely done a lot of learning over the last few years through her, but yeah, it's definitely been challenging.
I can imagine, yeah. And then the second one is you love for Agatha Christie and whodunit, wasn't it? So why is that cheesy? Why do you think that's cheesy? Is that just like the social norm thing? Oh,
I think, Agatha Christie, I'd say not so cheesy.
Yeah.
But your Diagnosis Murder, maybe, and your Murder, She Wrote, and because just, I don't know, it's kind of...
Not the norm.
Not the norm. And...
Where did you kind of find love for that? Was it like when you're younger at school? Or was you,
yeah. For Agatha Christie, through the books, absolutely loved all of the books. And I started with the books before kind of, the TV Poirot came out and things like that. I just loved the way it was written and just kind of felt, when you fall into a book and you're consumed by it and you turning the pages and you're not looking at the time and just kind of, just the style of it all. And then, Murder, She Wrote, I just love it because it's just easy watching as well. So you don't have to think about it too much. But equally, you can kind of go, but it's them. And you're like, yeah, that's a win for me.
Oh, that's cool. It's funny how you just laugh when you're saying, like, oh my God, why am I saying this? You've called yourself out anyway.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Then the third one is you failed your maths and English, did you say?
Yeah.
Why do you think that's like a fact? Why is that a big thing for you, would you say?
I'd say it was probably because a proper sliding doors moment, because I think there's a parallel Karen who did pass the GCSEs that's living a whole completely different life. And I think it made me learn a lot. It made me realize what was important to me. And I probably hid that actually passing my GCSEs was important to me because it didn't look cool to revise.
Yeah.
My friends aren't revising, so I'm not going to.
They definitely were. They're just saying they weren't.
But I learned actually they were important to me. But equally, I've also learned that by not passing them first time round, I've still created a really good life. That they, I didn't need to pass them first time round to be the best at everything, to have an amazing life. So I think it was just learning lots of different. I think it's kind of something for me that I've gone, and I do reflect quite a lot on it, because the pathways that I've taken since then have led me to, the friends that I've got now that I found at college, because I wouldn't have gone to college if I maybe passed my GCSEs. So they're now still really close friends. I wouldn't have those friends. I wouldn't have my husband, and kind of all those things. But equally, I just find it's quite interesting to go, I didn't actually need to have passed them to be in the same position as, my husband. He's got degrees and everything, and I'm still in the same position as him. So I don't need those things. And it's quite cool to go, actually, if I want something, I can find the way to get there.
Yeah. And I think it's hard for kids, though, isn't it? Like at 16, when your whole life, your younger life, isn't it? The first thing is GCSEs, and you think that's the end of the world. If I don't pass these, my life's going to be over. But really, like you say, it doesn't define what you can and can't do, does it?
Not at all. Not at all.
So yeah, let's talk about then what you did care about then when you were young and grown up. Like you say, that you pretended that you didn't care about the GCSEs, but you really did. But what did you enjoy doing, and what did you do in your free time, and what did you care about?
So, gosh.
You got your notes. You wrote this bit down as well.
I did. I wasn't expecting you to phrase it that way. So we were really lucky when we were growing up. We kind of went on quite a lot of holidays. We were really fortunate and lucky. So we kind of did some really lovely holidays. I spent time with my friends, spent time with family. I was really kind of interested in collecting crystal animals and things. So kind of, used to go around looking for those. As a younger child, I was probably quite compliant, very much wanted to kind of fit in. One time my mum, I think it was like when I was really young, and we were at nursery, and I was at nursery and she was there. It was Christmas, and Father Christmas came along, and I'd let everybody go to the front first to get their present. How do you go first? You go first. So quite kind of, compliant, I guess, and people pleaser. Then got to my teenage years and very much more the opposite, defiant, would really challenge my mum and dad. I'd be quite argumentative. I obviously knew what I was right. Obviously. I know best. And
as you do when you're a teenager, you got the world figured out.
Definitely pushed boundaries. We lived in St Anne's, so Blackpool wasn't far away. So sneak out and go to the nightclubs when you're not meant to be going to the nightclubs. So yeah, definitely kind of tale of kind of going from quite compliant to quite defiant.
What do you think changed? Was it just the transition to secondary school or what?
Yeah. And trying to fit in with friends and what they were doing, and, kind of, I probably wouldn't go as far as some of the experiences they had. I didn't know my limit, but very much wanted to be part of the gang. So trying to stay cool, stay with them. And that kind of going back to my friends aren't revising, they would tell me, we're not revising, so I won't revise.
I think it's funny, isn't it? Like, say, at secondary school, for example, you want to conform and be like everybody else, and that's cool to be like everyone else, isn't it? But then when you leave school or you go into later life or adult life, it's cool to be different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I feel like the only way to succeed is to be slightly different, isn't it?
Yeah.
In whatever channel or avenue you're going to take.
That's definitely something that I've learned over time is, and probably will come on to again, that I've just got to be who I am, because otherwise I'm not being authentic to anybody, and you get caught out as well through just an energy is going into something and you burn out from trying to do something that you're not being and wanting to be. So yeah.
It's like you're saying, if you're putting on an actor or a facade, isn't it? And you're doing this, you're doing that, and then like when you go home at night, you're thinking, yeah, that was exhausting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you think, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then when you were, say, at secondary school then, what did you enjoy doing? Like you said, you wanted to fit in, but what was it that when you went home to when you did in your free time or hobbies and that kind of thing?
I guess for me, I probably would have done more activities at school and joined the clubs.
Yeah.
Because I was good at some sports. I was good at kind of being fairly quite creative, so I would have joined the art club.
Yeah.
But again, so I would be quite artistic at home and do kind of, drawings at home. I probably wasn't sporty at home. But yeah, kind of joining the clubs outside of, inside of school, but outside of school. But, none of my friends really did that. They definitely didn't do that.
Because I think clubs and like teams and stuff are quite good in school, aren't they? Because they learn teamwork and how to manage other people and characters and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was in like the football team and the cricket team and all that, and rugby, and you don't realise at the time that you are learning them like transferable skills that you can use in your later life and stuff, which is interesting. So then what did you want to do then when you were at school? Was there any career that you wanted to pursue or anything that you had in mind that you wanted to do?
I didn't know at all what I wanted. Yeah. I really struggled with kind of where my place would be. I mean, obviously when I was really younger, I probably was like, be a vet. But it kind of got to a point, especially when I was doing my GCSEs, I had no idea what I wanted
That's so interesting, yeah.
And that's maybe why I can't really remember my mindset at the time, but maybe it was more of a defense mechanism, maybe why I went, my friends aren't doing it, so I don't need to do it. But there was also maybe an internal monologue going, you don't really know what you want to do either, so what's the point? When I didn't pass my GCSE maths, I didn't do very well at all.
What was the feeling like then when you got the results back?
I was absolutely devastated. I was so upset. Really upset. But at the same time as getting my results, we were moving. So we lived in St Anne's and we were moving to Keswick. So my mum got in touch with the Keswick school, and I was wanting to resit straight away my maths and English. And so they said, come along and you can resit your maths and English. And then I found some new friends there who were different to my old friends, who did the things that they wanted to do because they enjoyed doing it and didn't have to feel they need to conform. And it was a lovely little group of friends, and kind of started to work out what I wanted to do, and that was go in hospitality. So started working at one of the hotels there part-time, and then went on to Carlisle College and did my hospitality GMBQ, I think it was, or HND.
One of them, yeah.
So long ago now.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I did hospitality management at uni, and I saw on your LinkedIn that you did like hospitality and stuff like that. So what kind of like sparked the idea that that's what you wanted to do when you moved to Keswick?
I guess because Keswick is quite a hotbed for hospitality, and I think the ignition to it was I had to do some kind of work experience. So I'd got in touch with a hotel and I went along and did reception. It was kind of like half a day a week or something. It was just really tiny amount of time, but just really loved being on reception and greeting people and saying hello and having a conversation with what they'd been doing or what they're hoping to do when they arrive, or how did they find their stay, and problem solving, and just, that whole kind of customer experience. So just absolutely loved it. And then, this is what I want to do. So found out that they did a course at Carlisle and signed up and did that.
Oh, nice. Hotels such like a cool environment, I think, because people that are coming are in the best, most of them are, not everybody, most of them are in the best mood, aren't they? Thinking, I can't wait to...
Yeah.
And a lot of staff are quite young as well, so you can have that banter and stuff.
Yeah.
So then what was Carlisle College like for you? Did you enjoy the course as much as you thought you did?
Yes, loved the course. Had some great experiences. Went to work in France for a month,
cool.
Which was really, really terrifying and hard, but I loved every second of it at the same time. Don't know any French.
How old were you then? Like 17, 18?
So it's really hard because I'm a year behind, obviously, a year older because I had to resit. So 17.
Yeah, that must be scary then, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. But equally really exciting because, and again, I look back on that. I mean, I've got loads of pictures at home and look back on it really fondly of kind of meeting new people and kind of working things out for myself. My parents weren't around, had to work everything out for myself. And, there was probably a good 2 weeks of that 4 weeks where I was like, how do I do this? And then the last 2 weeks were like, this is brilliant. I don't want to go.
Go back to mum and dad and you're like, leave me alone. I'm independent now.
Yeah.
But it's like for me, when I went to uni, I remember, I said it before, but I remember when my dad left me in my dorm room or whatever, and I was thinking, what do I do now? I don't know what to do. Then you work it out and you go home for like the holidays and stuff, and then you're like, well, I live on my own, I know what to do, and life is fine.
Yeah.
So then when you finish France and you moved back, then you had a year and a bit left of college, and then where were you kind of at then with everything, like with your friends and your family and your mindset? Was it always what you wanted to go to like uni, or was it wanting to get a job, earn money, or what were you kind of thinking?
No, loved being at college and loved the social side of college. So me and my friend then signed up to go to Blackpool College to do our degree. It wouldn't have been a degree at that point. I can't remember what it was. But it was a bit before a degree. Foundation. Yeah. And then so signed up to do that. It's at Blackpool, but it's part of Lancaster University. Yeah, just love. And then kind of literally then where we lived by ourselves, we got a little place. It was this little bungalow in somebody's garden that they'd built for students, obviously, 'cause big student population. And I mean, we realised we were very different. She's very, very clean. I'm not so clean. But just loved the whole kind of social side of being at college and kind of learning to fend for yourself. But it was almost done safely that you're learning those skills, because you still do have a bit of support from your parents, but you kind of, I think that's another plus point for being a student at university is kind of, it's a soft way of learning. I've got a budget. I can't just go, I'm going to spend all my money. It's like, you only do that once before you realise, actually, I can't do that again.
The first loan in the first term, that's gone, isn't it?
Yeah. And then you're like, I see, I've got a budget, right, okay.
But yeah, I think that's a big thing about university for me is, like, I did hospitality management for my degree, and even though I don't do anything like that now, but it is mainly like the life skills that you think you learn, and like the scheduling and the budgeting and all that kind of things that you don't think of when you're at school, do you?
No.
And you have got like adult responsibilities without the real responsibilities. Like I say, you've still your mum and dad and the university to support you. But yeah, what did you kind of learn then, would you say, when you went either non-uni related or uni related? Or did you just grow up kind of thing?
I think definitely learnt about the budgeting side. That was a huge learning curve. And learning to live with other people. That I can't always have my own way of how things are. You kind of have to learn to compromise. That's another one. Compromise, learn to compromise. I think those are the... Yeah,
because it's connections as well for me. Like, I went to Cardiff University, so obviously you make friends and connections and stuff, and you never know when you might need some help from somebody, or they might need help from you and stuff. And then for me, some of mine have like moved all over the country, all over the world, and it's just quite cool to move out of your hometown, isn't it? Live on your own, gain a bit of independence, and you grow as a person.
Yeah.
So then going throughout uni, what were you wanting to do when you finished them? Were you still not thinking?
I kind of wanted to work. So people, that side of working in a company or in a hotel has always kind of made me quite excited, working with the people and kind of the whole human resource side of things. So when I'd finished my foundation, I went for a job down near Swindon, and it was kind of a sort of where you sort of work in all the departments, the kind of a management program. I didn't last very long.
How long are we talking?
Probably about 6 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Because I've realised as well that I'm a bit of a homebody. I like being near my mum and dad. And so Swindon was just too far away. And also the majority of my friends, which is probably the main reason, the majority of my friends were going on to do the degree. And I was like, this sounds really good. I really want to do that. So I went back to the same college, back to where my friends were, and ended up doing the degree side of it.
Cool.
When I'd finished that part, I kind of like, right, no, this is what I want to do. Went in for another few interviews and then got a job at the Langdale Hotel, and got the Langdale Hotel and Country Club then. And just started on reception, and then did a few years on reception, and then moved over into their kind of timeshare sales and rental side, which kind of was another different side of it. And I just loved it. Absolutely loved the whole people coming on holiday, people booking a holiday. It's just really exciting to be part of that kind of process. And like you said before, everybody's most people are really happy. And, even if they're not, then you kind of, how can we make you happy? How can we problem solve this together? And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you realise, actually, I can't make you happy, can I? That that's just
It's
more
just a you problem,
thing.
yeah.
But if you know that you've done as much as you can and you've done your best, then I think that's all that
matters. Yeah. What was it like then, the first day? Just imagine first proper job in the real world. It's a bit daunting, a bit exciting, and it's a nice hotel, isn't it? The Langdale, yeah, really nice.
Yeah, it was. It was really daunting actually, because again, I was very lucky and I was able to have a place where I could live in. So a bit like being a student again, you kind of, you live in a dorm, got your own kind of room and bathroom, but 8 other rooms there. So you're kind of saying hello to people that you don't normally see every day because they're in different departments. So sort of getting to know people slowly and eking out and building on those relationships and then starting the job part of it. It's like, I'm usually quite good at talking to people, I think. So that side's fine, but it's like all the processes when you're learning a new process of how they want you to do something. It's best to make sure I do this right.
Yeah, to keep them happy.
Yeah.
So then how long were you on reception for before you transitioned into the more sales and rentals and stuff?
Probably there for about 2 years. Yeah.
And what made you want to make the switch?
Well, I was headhunted. It was lovely.
Oh, that's always good.
The timeshare sales manager at the time, she'd often pop past the reception desk on the way to the canteen, and so we'd just get talking. Hello, how are you? And just have nice conversations. And so when there became a place available, she was like, I'd really like you to come and join us. Come over for an interview. So over for an interview and got the job. It was lovely. It was really nice actually. Cool. It did give you kind of that,
yes, people want me. Yeah. I'm in demand. So then how long were you in that role for? Because I mean, that must have been a big change from reception into that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, a lot more responsibility, a lot more, moving parts and stuff like that.
Yeah. I was there for about 8 years. And there was a lot of change in that time as well. As a company, there was a lot of change happening. We went through sort of a redundancy phase part way through that, and then teams got amalgamated. So there's lots of different changes happening. But as a group, we were really quite close. So we were really quite good at supporting each other through that, which was lovely because both those things are quite, again, scary. And at that time, sort of as a young person, if you're going through those things for the first time, you kind of want to feel that you're part of a team still, don't you? That nobody's out to try and trip you up so that they can have a job or things like that. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that's interesting. So then I want to know what made you make the switch from hospitality? Because that's what when I was researching you and on the LinkedIn, I was saying, hospitality uni. Hospitality for like 10 years and then this place.
Yeah.
So what happened? Yeah.
So Martin and Christine set Paramount up in 2007. They were working for a firm doing exactly the same thing, but they kind of just realised actually we can do this differently and how they felt maybe better as well. So they set Paramount up, me in the background kind of supporting and helping in different ways with ideas and things. And then it came to the actual switch of me moving, 2 children. I was still working at the Langdale Hotel, but they were able to set me up from home. So I'd only have to go in maybe once a week or once a fortnight. But then my dad became poorly with leukemia and my mum needed more help in getting him to different hospital appointments because all his hospital appointments would be in Newcastle and they lived in Keswick. Mum's not a confident driver, so driving around Newcastle, I could see that was making her quite stressed. So after some time, it kind of just came to a point that actually my need, or I don't know how to phrase it right, they needed me more than the job did. And it coincided with sort of Martin and Christine growing the business where they needed a bit of extra help just doing the admin side so they could do the fee earning side of things. So they said, why don't you come and sort of work part-time and do the admin side of things for us, like 2 days a week, and those 2 days can be whichever 2 days fit in, and then the rest is history.
Oh, that's crazy, isn't it? I suppose, like you say, everything maybe just works out for the best in the end, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you probably wouldn't have ever expected that to happen.
No. But I've kind of, then through time, I created my own role.
Sure.
I don't know that Martin and Christine knew that that's what I was doing.
How did you meet them then? Were they just friends from a long time ago, or
so?
What?
It's so like I just find it's really exciting how life works. So my friend from Carlisle College, her boyfriend at the time, well, now husband, went to Lancaster University, and he met Martin at Lancaster University, so they were mates. And then obviously kind of over time, as Suzanne and Paul were kind of meeting up with each other or getting friends together, got to know Martin that way, just kind of over time. And then, oh gosh, it was 2005 when I plucked up enough courage to ask him out.
So it just took a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. That's cool. Why did it take so long?
I don't know, just life, I think, because I was kind of doing other things. And then sort of I'd had Grace, and my friends were like, oh, come on, you know that he's a lovely person. I think you'd be really good together. So I was like, right, okay, I'll ask him out. So I asked him out, and yeah.
Oh, that's nice, yeah. So then when you started it here at Paramount, then you said you created your own role.
I know.
This sounds like an interesting topic. So how did you do that? Were you a bit mischievous, or was it just like you orchestrated it or constructed it the way you wanted to? Or
all of the above. All of the above. I think so, because Martin and Christine are very transparent in that I have absolutely no knowledge of costing and the work that they do. It's so technical, and it amazes me kind of when I have conversations with the rest of the team and stuff, and they talk to me and I'm like, this is amazing, but I can't do the job. I don't know it. So for me, my side was like, well, you're doing this admin job, but why are you doing this admin job when I could do it and you can then get on with, because everybody's on a target, and that's just detracting you from doing what you need to do. So give it to me. And then I was like, oh, me. So kind of right sort of early on in the days, kind of did sort of, the logging in of the files, file management. We now have Gina, who's our office manager, who kind of looks after that now. So have learned to kind of not do it all, but equally kind of, I was a jack of all trades, marketing and human resources side, which is the side that I kind of like to focus on now, because I just really enjoy that kind of making sure that everybody's happy. That sounds really bad.
Why do we have that bad?
Yeah, I've gone back into cheesy again.
Hey, this is all about you, this podcast, don't worry. So then, obviously you started working 2 days a week, didn't you? So then how did things kind of progress and kick on to the next level? Obviously you said you've taken on more work and you're trying to do everything, but then obviously I'd imagine you've maybe funneled your role into a specific angle or direction that you wanted to.
So started it 2 days a week, and that carried on for a little while. And then sadly my dad passed away, and I think through my grief, I kind of wanted to launch straight into doing lots of things. And so the lots of things were work. So I kind of more or less came back sort of full time, came back and just worked sort of 4 or 5 days a week. I think in hindsight, that was definitely part of the way I just needed to
coping mechanism.
Cope with things. And that's why then I was like, give these things to me. I'll do them. And it, very much kind of probably sort of plastering over cracks by give these things to me. Yeah. And then, I mean, in fairness, it did again coincide with us growing as a business. We were now a team, I think at that time, of 8 or 9. The growth of Paramount has been fairly steady over our years until probably last year, where we just went poof. And in September, we'll be welcoming our 20th member of the team, which is amazing. Really easy, It's really exciting. But equally, it's like, wow, okay, we really do need to focus on kind of the people and making sure that everybody is kind of, doing the job and everything, which is, that kind of goes without being said probably, but making sure they're happy and making sure that they have what they need to do their job, that needs are being met, and that resources are given to them so that, they might not identify them at the beginning of the year, but as things go along, kind of checking in, do you need this? What more do you want? How can you develop further? Or do you want to develop further? Mm-hmm. And kind of having that input's really exciting, I think, because, I find it really exciting.
Yeah, because I'd imagine, I can't relate to a team that size, but say if you've got 8 or 9 people, I'd imagine that's maybe one whole team, but then if you got 20, it could develop into little pockets of people and friends like that. So that's a different kind of thing to manage and stuff.
Absolutely, especially when we have now a number of our team who live away from Carlisle. So we've got maybe 6 people in Leeds or Yorkshire area. We've got somebody down in Bristol. We've got a couple of people over in the northeast. We've got a couple of people down kind of Preston way. So it's maintaining that everybody still feels part of the Paramount team, that you know you're not forgotten about because you live however many miles
in Bristol, whatever.
Yeah. So those are new challenges for us to have, and that's exciting again because you're kind of learning new ways, because we've been doing things in a certain way for a long time. So it's coming out of my comfort zone to go, oh, I've got to rethink now. I've got to challenge my brain to not just, you know, I was just doing the same thing over and over again. Now I've got to kind of, oh, okay, right. Which way can I think now? I've got to do something different. And yeah, I found that quite challenging, but quite fulfilling as well.
Yeah, so definitely. I think it's, say, like people may think you've got all the answers all the time, mightn't they?
Yeah.
But like you just said there, you're still working it out as long as you go.
Yeah, definitely still learning.
Yeah, I think everybody always is. And if you think that you're not, that's where you're not going to grow as a person, is it really? So how have you seen things develop then? Because how long have you been here now? Is it 10 or 12 years?
12, 13 years.
13 years.
Yeah.
So you've been here 13 years. So obviously a lot's changed. And you said it's been consistent growth, hasn't it, apart from the last year? So what do you think's been important to maintain that growth over time? From your point of view?
From my point of view. Gosh.
Put you on the spot here.
I know, yeah. I don't know how to answer that question.
No?
Sorry.
No, that's all right. So then at the moment, what would you say your role is, or your job title? What do you do day to day?
We went on a strategy day a few months ago, and I just say director on my LinkedIn. I don't really kind of have a job title. I find that because I
don't want to label yourself, do you?
Yeah, and also I find human resources as a label, it doesn't sit comfortably. I don't have the full qualifications. So somebody said, "Oh, you're operations manager." I like that. Yes, let's go with that. Yes, it's kind of. I'm probably the meddler of the team. I'm constantly kind of working on how everybody is and what their needs are and what learning they want to do, and kind of fulfilling that section. But I'm also kind of, maybe I'll have the quirky ideas and, oh, shall we do this? And you're like, no, stop saying these things. And pushing boundaries. I like to push boundaries, I think, because I like to push my own boundaries. I think when when you got in touch with me, and I was like, oh no, I can't do this. And I was like, oh yeah, because this is way outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
But actually I've really enjoyed it. And I've learned from this. And I think that's kind of what I'd like everybody else to see, that we might do something that might be a bit different, a bit wacky, but we learn from that. And it might work, might not work. But if we don't try it, we don't know. And sort of challenging the status quo sometimes. And that's quite exciting.
Yeah. And I think it's like you were saying just before, that, say, some people in the workplace may want to develop and progress in their career, might they? Or some people are just happy to just coast along, aren't they?
Yeah.
And that's fine. And if you want to grow as a person, I feel like you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, don't you?
Yeah.
And put yourself in them situations that is going to make you feel a bit like, you probably come to the podcast and get all the likes and you think, oh, but why have I agreed to this? Then you do it and you think, oh yeah, that was actually quite good. I really enjoyed that, or I learned that, or that kind of thing. But as well, I feel like people don't want to do stuff because they think they're going to be bad at it as well.
Yeah.
And the first video I posted, the first podcast I posted, was terrible probably. I don't watch it back. But then you just improve and you watch it back, or you learn from it and you analyse it and you think, oh, I'll improve that a little bit. That'll make me better tomorrow.
Yeah.
And not try to, that's why I asked about the consistent growth. Because I always think that a lot of people say want to go from 0 to 100. To say, like, when you first started working here 13 years ago, it's very different to it is now, and you've seen the spike. But people, if they see you now, think, oh, it's all right for Karen. Whereas they haven't seen the 13 years of making them a small, like, incremental improvements to see that growth. Because it's like compounded interest, isn't it? It's that consistent turning up every day, every week, every month, every year.
Yeah.
And then you'll see the spike. And that's why I was kind of asking that question.
I think that's probably, so that's probably what happened. We learned to become bolder in our years of being in business. And also we learned that consistency is probably key. I think that's definitely been a key word for us over the last few years, to have seen maybe us be more prevalent in people's, in clients' heads or prospective clients' heads, that the consistency of our marketing is definitely there now, whereas we were probably much more sporadic in past years. The consistency in sort of which events that we do, or which events of conferences that we turn up to and who goes to that, we are definitely more consistent in that. And it used to be, I probably viewed it certainly as a boring word, being consistent, but actually it's probably been the key to a lot of what's happened to us over certainly the last 2-3 years.
Yeah. That's music to my ears. I say that to everybody. Especially when we say do social media marketing, but people say consistency is key.
Yeah.
You can't post one video and go viral and transform your business. You have to do it, the boring bit, and post for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that people don't want to do, isn't it? Like, people want to set up a business or start a business or whatever, and they want to have the fame, money and success, but they don't want to put in the boring work that people don't see, the long hours. And it is funny. But I think that's because of social media, isn't it? Like, people see all of the stuff.
That's it. Yeah. I think it's instant, and it's not instant, is it? There's, you've worked however many hours that day, that week, that month, and it takes a long time to be sort of an instant success. Yeah. People think it's literally happened. It doesn't.
No, it's been a lot of years. But yeah, so what would you say is next then for yourself and Paramount? What have you got in the pipeline? What do you want to do, and what do you want to kind of achieve next?
So
asking the big questions
today. So for me, just continuing to learn for my role and being there to support the team, working out ways to find. Because you can ask a question, but when you asked me that question before, I don't know how to answer that question. But then when you reword it, it's like, oh yeah, okay, I've got loads of ideas now. Yeah. So it's making sure that I'm asking the right questions. So I've got to learn to ask the right questions, not just assume that people, come on, you should know the answer to this. So I've got to learn to ask right questions, and so be more curious, I guess. For the business, it is literally to probably continue to grow. I say probably because it's like to scare me as things. That means more people. I've got to be more curious. And I know that there's definitely within the private client department. So Christine, who you met before, she's the director of the private client department. And I know kind of their growth is definitely going to be on the cards for the next couple of years, and sort of developing that side of the business specifically. So that's exciting for them, and kind of they've got a great team. That's a newish team sort of within the last 18 months. So there's loads of really exciting ideas. It's now formulating those ideas into a structure that works, rather than, again, it's not going, wow, let's do it all. It's that consistency again, and go, let's start with 1 or 2 things. Let's get them right, or learn, do they work, do they not work, and then build up slowly. Let's do it all.
Because you can you? I think that's one thing I'm struggling with my business at the moment. I've been saying to people, like, the structure of, say, how we would say do like a shoot with a client, and then upload it, and then get it edited, and then uploaded, and then posted, and trying to remove myself from the process. You know what I mean? To free myself up with time. Say for me personally, like, I love what I do, but I just don't want to be like a busy, like I was saying to you before, I don't want to be, I'm probably too busy for what I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be less busy. Because even though I feel like people always say, are you busy? It's like, yeah, but I don't want to be busy. Yeah. I want my team to be busy and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just, trying not to do too much too soon, and just being slow. And I think I'm a bit impatient as well.
Yeah.
And understanding that other people work at different paces, and they learn in different ways and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a similar conversation to me and Martin, because he has a set way of how he thinks. He's managing director, and obviously he's a managing director of a really successful business, but it's just trying to also kind of go, but not everybody thinks the same way as you do. So you've got to kind of come at things a different way, and not everybody has the same thought process or how you would do something. So they might get to it 2 steps longer than what you would have got to that situation, but it will get there. We've just got to trust the process. And I think that's another thing that we've learned is trust the processes and things like that.
Yeah. And be patient. Time, isn't it?
Yeah.
What makes you interested in people then and curious? I'm intrigued to know about that because you said you like people and managing people. And obviously hospitality is a big people kind of industry, isn't it? With the team and the customers. Where do you think you got that from? Just like when you were younger as well, you said that obviously you changed from primary to secondary school and that kind of thing. But obviously it's a big part of your day-to-day role, isn't it now?
Yeah.
And you have to be interested in people because some days obviously you can be like, I can't bother with anyone. But if your job's that every day, then I'm interested to know.
I don't know where it came from. I mean, I think I just really enjoy kind of talking to people, learning about them. Like I said to you, when you asked me about my things, I don't feel that I'm very excited. So other people I like to hear their stories and find out what their thoughts and feelings are on things. And I think it's just kind of through the early parts of being in that hospitality industry and getting to talk to people, and you build up that confidence to ask a question. And it's not so much that you formed a relationship with them, but you've I guess just built up a confidence to speak to people and that people aren't as scary as maybe what I think they are.
But it's a skill in itself to ask questions though, isn't it? Like you say, I feel like loads of people are scared to just ask.
Yeah.
In simple situations. Like the worst thing people could say is like no, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you just think, oh, at least I know now, rather than regret and be like, I should ask them. And that kind of thing. But I don't know, why do you think that is? I think we'll ask it. Do you think it's just a lack of confidence?
Lack of confidence and hearing the word no. I guess it's
rejection. Yeah.
I think hearing the word no is quite, I think we fear it in our heads as though it's going to be no. And
You're a terrible person. Why did you ask me that?
And actually it's a more polite way of being told no that you get. But we build I am terrible for doing this. I'll build situations up in my head and actually it never is as scary as I've dreamt it to be. And I've definitely learned recently that just kind of go with it. Yeah.
And no's not that bad answer.
Yeah.
Either, I don't think. But yeah, I think everyone is scared of rejection. Like if you're asking a girl out or asking a boy out, isn't it? You think, oh no, I'm ugly. I've got a terrible personality.
What's wrong with me? Why did you say no?
Is that thing. Right, let's go to the next part then. So we said biggest mistake or biggest regret, didn't we?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you another one after, but I might put you on the spot. So what are we going for? Are we going for personal, business or biggest mistake?
It kind of covers both. I've had to put it up because I have to read it. So I've gone with biggest regret that it's taken me until my 40s to learn not to compare my journey with other people's journey. And that's both business and home or personal.
That's a good one. Really good one. Why I just think that's a mistake / regret, would you say?
I think I've spent a long time comparing where I should be or what I should be doing or what I should be achieving or how I should be. I definitely am not a very businessy person, but I don't know what a businessy person is. And I'm kind of like, if somebody maybe looked up in the dictionary business person, you would not see me there.
You never know.
And I've worried that, I'm me and I'm a bit quirky, and that sometimes maybe isn't what people are looking for when they're talking to a business person. And then I've just over the last few years gone, but no, they're talking to me and that's okay because I'm good enough. And then as a journey through parenting, sort of, oh, my child isn't walking yet. Why is my child? Your child's walking. Your child's talking. Why isn't mine talking? But it's like, no, it's okay because they are who they are and they're going through their pathway. And it's literally probably taken me until about 3 years ago to work out that it's okay. Don't compare anybody else's journey. This is who I am. Just be me. Just be authentic to myself, and everything else will just fall into place.
Why do you think it took so long then? What was like the catalyst for that?
Probably the catalyst was my relationship with my eldest daughter. And we had a turbulent few years with her, and I probably, and probably mistakenly, felt I was being judged as a parent, and so went to counselling and kind of realised actually that no, you're just a parent doing the best you can. Don't worry about what other people are doing because they're having their own issues probably, and whether they're sharing them or not sharing them. You just concentrate on what you can control, not what other people are doing.
Yeah, I think that's a big one, especially these days. And I feel sorry for some of the kids as well, growing up with social media, that they're constantly comparing, like, see how much money they've got, what jobs they've got. And even I find myself doing it sometimes, and you think, he's like the same age as me. He seems to be doing it. He's got a nicer holiday, he's got nicer cars. But then you think, everyone's on their own timeline, aren't they? Everyone's on their own journey.
That's it.
There's literally like no right or wrong thing to do.
No.
And like you think, oh, he's got quite a big house. And you think, oh, it doesn't matter. Like, well, it literally doesn't matter as long as you're. I feel like I'm happy in myself. But then when you compare to the people, you're like, oh no, I'm doing terrible.
Yeah. And I think it takes away the joy of what you're doing. It's completely taken off the edge of actually but then look what I have achieved. Yeah. Look at all these great things that I do have. I have amazing friends. I've got a lovely family. I compared my eldest daughter's journey, and which is ridiculous, bearing in mind what I said. Come on, you've got to pass your GCSEs because they are the be all and end all. And as I'm saying those things to her, I'm like, why are you saying that? You know it's not. But you must pass, because then that looks good. And it looks good to me as parent. Because if you pass, I'm a good parent.
It's mad, isn't it? It is literally mad. But it's just the way of the world.
Yeah.
It's just the way of the world. Right, last question I'm going to spring upon you. What do you think your greatest strength is and your greatest weakness? I've done this to a few people. I think I did it to Jill, actually.
Yeah, you did.
I need to start sending it in the brief beforehand.
My greatest strength, my sense of humour. I like to have a laugh. Yeah. I try not to take things too seriously. And my greatest weakness, that if I don't know how to word it.
What are you trying to say?
If somebody doesn't necessarily agree with me straight away, I get quiet. Why can't you just agree with me? Come on. That means I've now got to put in the effort to make you agree with me. It just makes sense for you just to agree with me now.
Give us an example, then. Give us an example.
I can't.
That's fine.
Maybe after, yeah.
Off camera.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. So what we're going to do, let's plug yourself, where they can follow you on LinkedIn, then Paramount as well. And if somebody, who the ideal client, or if they can get in touch, or who should get in touch, and that kind of thing as well.
So I'm Karen, one of the directors of Paramount Legal Costs. As I said before, we're a firm of law cost draftspeople and cost lawyers. And we work with civil litigation, private client solicitors, and personal injury and clinical negligence solicitors. And you can find us on LinkedIn, both for the private client and the litigation team. They have 2 pages, and myself on LinkedIn and on Twitter.
Nice. Right, everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, like the video, comment your favourite part, any questions for Karen, leave them in there as well. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, follow the podcast and leave a 5-star review, and we'll see you next time. Bye.